Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're continuing the President's series with Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, and H.W. Bush. So why don't we just end the intro here and, hop into the video. Okay, today we're going to start off with Nixon. Now, Nixon's really popular for the Watergate scandal. We all know that one. That's the one thing Nixon's popular for. But before he was having to leave off, he left office to avoid getting impeached. Scandal. What did he do before that? Well, let's start out the video by talking about the few good things he did. This is a somewhat short list. But he did start some of a peaceful, talk, Jordan. A peaceful dialogue with China, started working out peace with that, went to China, started working out some peace with, because China was communist at the time. Then also was negotiating with the Soviet Union to try and bring down the number of nukes each country had, and did form the EDU, which is basically to help the environment, which is a pretty good one. And he did, in the Vietnam War, technically speaking, started pulling troops out of Vietnam, which, was a good thing, considering the Vietnam War was a pretty awful war. However, there's a little asterisk with that last one because he basically was basically one of the things that he did, he ended it towards the end of his term. Not before or after, like towards the end of his term. And he basically, and while doing that, before he ended the war, he literally bombed Cambodia, which, bombing people isn't really great, so I'm just saying he didn't do a great job. He did bring him back, so I'll give him at least a little credit for that. Another thing that happened under him was the war on drugs, which was remember Prohibition? That was Prohibition for drugs, but 100 times worse. And, it leads to a lot of, and it's most of the problems that we have with drugs nowadays. I'm not going to say all of them, but a good chunk, let's say a good group of the problems that we have nowadays with drugs are actually caused by the war on drugs. Ironic, I know, but that's just the way this works. And even though Nixon thought it looked like Nixon was going to win, he was very paranoid and was extremely paranoid. So of course literally was spying on Democrats at the Watergate Hotel. If you want more details, I might link a video that explains Watergate pretty well, so I might do that. I might link a video that will basically explain Watergate a little bit better, but it was basically what ruined his career, but by the end of it, he was gonna be impeached. There was no doubt about it, probably. However, instead of getting impeached, he just left office. He decided he was going to leave office. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about that. Should he have been impeached? There's not really much I can say on the fact that he left. Good riddance, I guess. I mean, if he was impeached, I think that wouldn't... It doesn't seem to be made a difference. I don't know why he didn't just let himself take the chance leaving. I guess he would rather be known as the first president who left office than the first president to be impeached. So, yeah. That was Nixon for you. So, now let's move on to Nixon's vice president, who has now taken over, Ford. So, after the whole Watergate scandal, trust in the government was at a kind of an all-time low. And no one really... And what made Ford even more unpopular was his decision to pardon Nixon, which I don't really know if I can say too much on the matter. Like, he's out of office. It's not like pardoning him makes a difference. So I'm not gonna say much on that one. It's because I personally see no issue with it. So I'm like kind of neutral on it. However, of course, you know, now with no trust in the government, people not trusting him, people saw him as kind of like a joke, really. So of course he had to kind of get people to trust him again. So he starts out by cutting taxes and increasing government funding. Now I don't know how those two things are actually related. I probably should have looked more into those, but they seemed to have positive, and I'm guessing it was more to help fix the economy, because with Vietnam, since Vietnam just happened, you know, the economy was kind of at an all-time low, but had fixed it with tax cuts and spending, and, you know, helped with unemployment and whatnot. And another thing, when there was a fear of energy crisis, he helped boost oil. He put out an agreement to help boost oil production. He wasn't in office that long, honestly. Like, you know, he was in there for a term, and then Jimmy Carter would beat him in the next election. But considering his short time there, I'd say he got quite a bit done, and I think he did a pretty good job. Alright, now let's talk about Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter is basically the president that everyone kind of mutually agrees did better when he wasn't in office, which is a little sad, but they're not 100% wrong. He did do some good things, even though he couldn't really find Congress to get on his side, even though Congress was controlled mainly by Democrats. What ended up happening was two of his wins are basically a new energy policy that helped, you know, the energy crisis, probably helping out a little bit with the energy crisis that was happening last time. Drop my remote. And also reduce funding on airline regulations. But when it came to being an effective president, he didn't seem to do much. Like whenever the country is dealing with inflation, oil prices, unemployment, he didn't really seem to do much to help. People found him ineffective. And they found him really ineffective when revolutionaries from Iran took embassy workers hostage, and there wasn't much he could do about it. So he was not really ready for Reagan whenever Reagan ran against him. So once again, another one-term president, but which in fact all of the presidents so far have been one term this video, which is interesting, but he didn't last long, and in the time he was there, he didn't do too good. However, afterwards, he did win the Nobel Peace Prize, but that's not going to come into account because we're talking about him as a president and not him afterwards. If this was afterwards, he'd probably be higher on the list. So, that's all for Carter. Alright, we're getting really close to the end here. Let's talk about Reagan. So, Reagan pretty much beat Carter pretty easily. After being a radio host and movie star and running as the governor in California. Was it California? Yeah. No. Yeah, it was California. Yeah. I just did this. He was pretty popular. So and considering the fact that, like I mentioned last time, Carter wasn't very popular, it was a pretty easy victory for him. And basically what ended up happening was he thought that the biggest issues was the government was too big and taxes were too high. So he ended up cutting taxes, which helped the economy. And that's good. For making government smaller, he didn't really have much of an effect on that. Probably because he was also dealing with raising defense spending to defend themselves from the Soviet Union. Reagan's plan was if they just outspend them on weapons, the USSR would just, USSR. Why am I saying USSR? It's not how you say it. Soviet Union. Let's just say Soviet Union. That's easier. Not really, but whatever. We're moving on. So, which ended up working because a bunch of, basically the Cold War is Reagan finally ended the Cold War, which, good job. That's a pretty good thing considering the fact we've been dealing with this for the last couple presidencies. Quite a few since Truman, since the end of World War II, and that was a while ago. So we now finally got this whole Cold War thing taken care of, and Reagan was part of that. So I say he did a pretty good job. All right, now we're going to talk about George Bush. No, not that one. Yeah, there we go. George H.W. Bush, not George W. Bush. We'll talk about him later. But for now, we're going to talk about his dad. So basically, whenever he was elected, people more thought of him as like a third term for Reagan because he was also Reagan's VP and was going to keep a lot of Reagan's policies. And for the most part, he did that. He did help take down the Berlin Wall and, kind of just clean up, the aftermath of the Cold War. I mean, Reagan basically ended it, but it was just more like the cleanup crew. Also, Operation Desert Storm, which was basically him stopping Saddam Hussein from kind of taking over this area. I can't Kuwait. And he was smart enough to know not to push further because they thought it would cause a Vietnam situation. If only he taught his son that, and then maybe we wouldn't be in certain issues. But I'm gonna leave that one alone until we get to his son. However, what ended up being his downfall was mainly okay. Take a minute. It was mainly him going against his promise about new taxes. He said he wasn't gonna raise taxes or create any new taxes. But whenever the economy started to slip, he created some new taxes. And that ended up causing him to lose to Bill Clinton. Another notable thing he did was he banned discrimination against disabled people, which that's a great thing, but honestly, he's a decent president. He's gonna probably be one of the better presidents. I'm not gonna say he was our best. I don't know who our best president was for more of this modern area. Because now we're gonna get into some more questionable presidents. Next episode, which will be the finale. So I hope you guys will enjoy that. But that's all for Bush. So that is going to be it for this episode. Just a few quick things. I will be streaming hopefully on the Empire SMP server tomorrow, so be sure to tune. I don't know what time, probably be sometime late at night. Hopefully notifications will come out, but some people told me they had some issues with that, so you will hopefully be notified for that, so keep an eye out for that. Now, for the final episode, it will come out either before Wednesday, which is when Joe Biden will be inaugurated. But I have a question. Would you like this video to come out on Wednesday? Tell me in the comments, would you want this video, next video, the finale of this series, to come out on the day Joe Biden to be inaugurated? I think that'd be really cool. If that's what you want, please let me know in the comments. So, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Bye. Like a Hellcat.